Oh, yeah. Senior, last semester. Yeah. Graduating this.
Before we start, I want to ask Ray, we had a veterans ceremony this morning. I want to begin.
What did I read?
My handshake.
Still hurts.
Okay. Minutes have been distributed. We have resolutions. ROTC, that's out there. We did present that today. Auditor, appropriation. Morning, Dan.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
So we've got a couple items here. First is a request for an additional appropriation. It says 300,000, but we found out after the agenda was out that it's going to be closer to 150,000, and that's just for the audit work that Baker Tilly is going to continue to do for us for 23 and 24.
You want to amend the appropriation to 150 from 300 or keep it at 300? But I'm not sure.
We'd amend it for 150.
Yes.
150? Yeah. We found out after talking with Baker Tilly, I think their original guess was, or not guess, but their original estimate was 300. Then they ended up going back and doing some further details and said, it's gonna be more like 150. I'm like, okay, even better.
All right, and you have an ordinance, any part-time?
Yep, just bumping it up a skosh from where it was. That's just based on local wage data from different job sites. There's a range, and we're right inside that range. Over 12 to 21. Depending on-
One position. Yep. All right, Constantine?
I'm good, so I'm perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over Township?
Chairman, I'll be seeking approval on this. It's basically a title change. Lino's here, manager, he was at a conference. The reason we didn't do this change during budget time was because during a conference, the duties that were explained fit this category, this person more. So there's no economic changes. It's really just a title change. It's just trying to put the right person in the right job description.
Effective immediately?
I attended an HR conference. It was after the budget session, just last month. And I think so everybody had their own job descriptions of what the people in the offices do. And I think this job description fits best with what this gentleman does in my office. It's not a pay change, it's just a little couple of things.
Any questions? Thank
I
you.
think someone online maybe.
Oh.
I heard something.
All right, thank you.
That's nice move.
St. John?
Madam Chair, I'd be seeking approval. It's just longevity transfer.
Any questions from any of the council members? Criminal courts? Constantine?
I'll be seeking approval.
Ida, are we good? Councilman got any questions? Okay. Juvenile court?
Morning.
Morning.
Where are you looking to transfer in travel and lodging authority? $5,000. 10, appropriation, so food and lodging of $50,000. We want to take it out of professionals and put it in food and lodging. That's for the detention.
I thought there was gonna be no action on that.
The appropriation is no action, right?
Well,
Yes.
we're going to take it.
We're doing a transfer instead.
Oh, yeah.
Right, we're going to transfer.
All right.
And then we were asking to approve the two grants. One is
the juvenile community alternative grant program, which is top, which, we have Dr. McGee that, basically is actually train and help them understand what happens when people are getting shot. Take them to the morgue, take them to the ICU and stuff, and really, it's a 2-year grant. Really done a lot of good for kids, it really has. And the
Made a difference.
yes, the other one is, Dr. McGee, I'm sorry, Dr. Hirsch. And that is our, that's for the behavioral health. That is a grant program, and that's a 2-year grant also. Deals with kids and such that are detained.
Brown, you good with all this? Any questions from the council?
I heard you ask, I didn't understand, so the appropriation, we're not using, but the transfer. we are.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, there'll be no action on the appropriation. Yeah, we're just doing the transfer.
Question back to the first, juvenile court, transfer from travel lodging to clothes. A couple of these suits.
Well, the bailiffs take jackets from either Chico's or Zanska's, and then, of course, the kids, the detention people have shirts with the stars, with the star on it.
No suits for you.
No suits.
Okay, any other further questions? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we're need to. All right, elections.
So we were here 2 months ago asking for, to apply for the grant, happy to announce that we received the grant. And so now we need to set up the fund and do the appropriation.
Any questions?
Good.
We're good. We're good.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work with the election.
Thank you very much. Can we pass on Tuesday just because we have so much to get done in 2 weeks time here for certifying the election and all the payroll?
Oh, you mean not be present?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you spoken to Councilman Linda Mulder? You should.
I have not, but I certainly will.
He's out of town, but.
Yeah. He'll be at Tuesday's meeting.
If you need us there, we'll
Give
come
him a
up.
chance if he asks any
As
questions.
disagreeable as he is, I think. It's
Top one, out of respect.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Planning Commission. Good morning.
Stranger.
Good to see you.
Good to be back. Thank you guys so much, I figure I stick around another week.
I'm glad.
Whole year.
Uh,
Whole year.
I don't know, I'm thinking about it.
He Charlie Green is hat.
My wife kind of liked having it as well, because there's a lot to do there, so I love coming to work.
You're here.
I'm thinking. We have a request for a zone change from B2 to B3 to come in front of you with a unanimous unfavorable recommendation by the planning.
This is a development that's, along 101st there, that, had a lot of remonstrance against it, so, Councilman Linda Mulder and I talked about it, and, I agree with the unfavorable recommendation as it sits.
What type of development is it?
I didn't look it up, I'm just
It's
asking.
a subdivision lot that was already built out, and now they're looking to use the back portion of it for a mini warehouse. Even though there's a warehousing development right across the street, so.
I think you're, so,
Thank you.
you're,
Nice to be back.
good to see you, Ed.
Excuse me about the same, thing which you told, the owner is here, you would like to submit few things. Can he do it or he can't?
Madam Chairman, the hearing on a rezone is done at the plan commission level. It doesn't get reheard at the county council level. They're the recommending body to the council, so you cannot submit new information. The chance to do that was at the plan commission.
So we can submit anything in that.
No, the record is closed.
Right.
Plan commission.
Thank you.
Okay, weights and measure. Anybody else have any questions on that? Weights and measure. Good morning. Good morning. I am asking for appropriation for motor vehicles. At first I requested $25,000 for those vehicles. But we received instead a different set of vehicles at 5. So we have ran out of money to make the payment. So for the rest of the year, I will be needing $13,339.
How much was that? 13,268.
Well, we acquired some a late fee because we haven't paid October. So I was gonna, after this, I was gonna actually, inform you all that I may be having to come back for the $71.75 because in my budget, I don't have another line item in that series.
When you have the money in your user fee fund.
Yes. Yes,
And then
I do.
Randy and I can talk to Pete, but what was that number?
The number that I requested,
It's an appropriation and it's advertised.
yeah,
I
you
don't-
can't change it.
You could go
Lower
less,
it.
you could lower the, appropriation, so that's $70 if you can't transfer it,
Right, I would do
cover
that.
it next month.
Yes, I would.
I'm sorry.
I got it.
Yeah,
And what happened again that created this shortfall? I'm sorry, I
I
didn't
received another vehicle.
receive
Yeah,
another.
asked for 4, but I got 5.
Or who?
Oh.
You just got sent another car.
Yes.
I have one.
She said that.
This first off,
What I heard.
you have a use for it?
Yes, I have, 5 inspectors and myself, so we're
Okay.
using all the vehicles.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I was copied on an email chain regarding this, and it was intentional. The commissioners thought an additional vehicle would be good for them, so they strategically made the decision. They didn't realize the appropriation was set up before. So that was kind of
That
disconnected.
makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm out.
You're out, man. You lost it. Thanks for speaking up, though.
More questions? Any questions for anyone? Right, thank you. County Sheriff.
Good morning, Father.
Morning.
Morning, Council. We're asked to create a line item in the sheriff's sale program and service fund, and also an appropriation of $80,000 for other questions.
What is that?
More specifically, we're going to use this money to purchase a tractor. We have 5 helicopters. This is specifically the drone program. We're expanding our drone program at the sheriff department, and putting those in the hands of our officers so they can deploy from their vehicles and the accessories that are required for that, to support that program.
Thank you.
What's the revenue source that's creating the $80,000?
This is from foreclosure fields, from the civil division. So what happens is that when officers have to serve those and handle the foreclosures, there's a certain fee that is applied that the attorneys collects. And it builds up over time. We typically will wait and use it for a project. Last year, we used it to buy a new flare system for the helicopter, if you remember. So this year, it's been building up and we'd like to get this equipment.
So that's it's a non-reverting fund.
Correct, yeah.
And it has a specific lane under statute you can use it for. Is it
Yes.
discretionary?
Yeah, basically, it says appropriations from the non-reverting fund shall be subject to approval by Lake County Council or otherwise provided by law. So
That
basically,
Yeah. Thank you.
Next.
The next would be, we're looking to create a new line item, the BCE SE fund for equipment and appropriate $35,000.
That money will be utilized specifically to purchase a tractor to move our aircraft in and out of the hangar. Currently, we have to wait for the airport to see when they're available, and oftentimes we have to get helicopters out at odd hours in the middle of the night. And this will allow the aviation unit to be able to respond quicker and be able to when those aircraft is necessary.
Any questions?
And the final one is in Fund 182, non-reverting property seizure fund. We're going to create a new line item, motor vehicles, and appropriate $200,000 for the purchase of motor vehicle for.
What happens to the current vehicles?
Those vehicles will go back into the fleet depending on their mileage. We're specifically targeting our interdiction vehicles, and they run the interstate all day long. And they're up there quite a bit. We revert them to other uses in the department where they're not required, right? The mileage, additional mileage will be minimal. And then that also includes some undercover purchases. They're vehicles that are used by the drug task force during their operations.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Okay, next is prosecutor.
Morning. Morning. A few things on the agenda today. The first is salary increases for our APS unit. Our APS unit runs on the state budget cycle, so July through June. These increases are to reflect the 2025 past budget at 5%.
Any questions?
The prosecutor in town?
I am not sure if he's in town or not. Good chance he's in Indy for an IPAC meeting.
Good chance he's in Indy.
Yes.
Spends quite a bit of time.
It's gotta be down there at least once a month for IPAC.
Why couldn't you reverse it? You know. Come here.
I will propose that idea.
Okay, any questions? Transfer?
And then, the transfer in 7104 is, for part-time. That should get us through the rest of the year. Also, right now it is in a negative. The way that our, LC 500 comes out, it's a few weeks behind. So when I look at it, looks like we have money, but, it's not the case. So that's just to correct the error and get through the rest of the year. And then, with 7135, we still have some money in there. I'm planning on splitting part-time between county general, 7104 and 7135 to get us through the year.
Another transfer?
And that is for motor vehicles. We had to, get at least 3 new vehicles this year. Our old fleet was just kind of dying out, so we had to upgrade.
I can understand that with so much travel to Indianapolis.
Okay, any questions from the council?
You're used to this, right?
Yeah.
Next page, you have more transfers.
It's, those are for, our APS unit, just with how we had changed some things around, this past year. For their current budget, we have some remaining money that we are moving into travel.
You know, the prosecutor.
No, just for APS unit.
So the pile keeps getting deeper, huh?
I know, just get one here.
And last, oh no, you, yes.
So this is, transfer to attend, a conference down in Indy or other activities aside for Mr. Carter. As well as, part-time and legal services for any, trials that we may have.
All right, any questions from the members of the council? All right, thank you.
So the prosecutor, what is his name, by the way?
Bernard Carter.
It's on sick and a do 4D.
Yeah, and for 40, those are just transfers to get us through the year. I don't anticipate us using all of that. For the office machines, we did have to replace our camera servers. There's a power outage and it kind of destroyed our server for our camera system.
Is there any insurance on that hardware?
Not that I know of. We are working with Tri on that, so I will check with them to see if getting insurance is an option.
Some of that stuff gets really expensive when you have a power surge or
Mhm.
electrical failure.
And unfortunately, that building in Gary does experience power outages quite a bit, so I think that's something Data was trying to work on, of at least a backup generator. Mhm.
We trained one of them, prosecutor, to track where he's going.
I'm sorry?
We use one of the cameras or multiple cameras to keep up with the prosecutor.
We can try.
I know it would be difficult.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Marvin, you there? Yeah. Okay, public
Good morning.
defender. Oh,
Good
there you
morning.
go. Good morning.
I'm here on behalf of the Public Defender's Office. We're requesting an additional appropriation in our fund, supplemental public defender fund, which is 1405. And this request is being made due to the substantial increase in jury trial and guilty plea appeals this year, which in turn requires court reporters to produce jury trial and guilty plea transcripts to perfect our appeal. So that's basically the request. We have sufficient funds in that fund, so that's our request at this point.
Any questions from the council? Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Fairgrounds?
Yeah, so,
Oh, their fee schedule.
yeah, this was a, part of what was discussed several months back where as part of the new business plan for the fairgrounds, Superintendent John Marshall purchased some tables and chairs as part of renting out the buildings. So there'll be additional rental revenue coming in instead of people having to contract with outside services. It's all going to be done in-house now. So that's what this is to approve some of that schedule along with some of the building fee schedules. Side support.
Oh, I see it here. Tables, chairs, okay. Do they set it up or they just provide it?
There's setup fee and cleanup fee, I
Okay.
believe as well.
Oh, yeah, we might have done that.
Yeah,
last
if
time.
you see setup and take down.
Oh, yeah, I see that here.
Is
Okay.
$1 per item.
Okay. Okay, any questions? All right. Parks and Recreation.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you for seeing me this morning. We're asking for a transfer into workman's comp and part-time. We're kind of looking ahead to the rest of this year with the operations we have going on. We're running a little short in workman's comp. And then with part-time, golf courses have gone a little longer. Weather's been good. And we're looking at our ice skating operation coming up. That's getting more and more popular. So we're just kind of thinking ahead. We don't want to end up getting caught short. So that's what that's.
I support it.
Questions?
You ever see the prosecutor?
You know, it's not. But we're not in very much. So, and Randy, we did get some. Is that ice skating? We got some. I think it was you that asked about Jim about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We ordered them, so before we open. Yeah, we'll be there Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't ice skate, but I just want to make sure if I ever get the inkling.
Okay.
Size 14.
If you do, please call us.
We want to.
Oh, we're gonna be there.
We want to. Yeah, we're trying to make a little professional out of this.
No, sir. No, sir.
But I'll let you know if I.
All right, please.
Thank you.
Good morning. We're asking the council for their approval on our applying for the 2024 Emergency Management Performance Grant. This grant is renewed every year or has been, and is renewed again for 2024. We have to jump through the hoops for the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. When we jump through the hoops, they give us $75,000 to help reimburse the general fund for some of the salary.
Questions? Good. Thank you.
And you are doing emergency management. If you want.
Keep an eye out for the prosecutor.
All points bulleted.
Commissioners, the county 911. Went online, it's a transfer over time. I think we all understand why that's necessary.
Is Mark gonna be at the meeting? You know,
I don't know, but we can make a call request that he.
I'd just like to get a kind of progress report, see where they're at on staffing, things like that. This has been ongoing for quite some time. I know it's a difficult job to staff, but here's it's also dangerous if we're understaffed too.
All right, commissioners also have second reading on the Texel local rules. I know I was the only one who was hesitant of approving this. My reasoning was that I felt that with today's technology, that when they apply online, I don't know how many apply in person, but if they applied online, I know when I apply online or whatever it may be, even fill an order out or something, there's certain boxes that have to be filled, and if they're not filled, it tells me that before it will allow me to submit. And I just think there is, with today's technology, that's how it should be, that if something's blank and not answered, then it won't even take it. And that would save your staff some time from having to review what's not complete.
I agree. That is, SRI system is one of the county vendors that allows the online application process. I think what you're talking about is we get in excess of 1,000 registrations, half of which are denied because they either owe taxes or so 50% of them are denied. The other, but yes, I agree. I think I've even asked about that. Why can't you do that? Fill in the blank, or they check the right box, say, can't sign it. So it's just something on, I think that's out of my bailiwick, about how to fix the registration. So that's something we can do. That isn't really, I mean, I'm not sure that this ordinance talks about that. Let me see.
Well, it goes through it goes through
Yeah.
the process for it. I think another concern that had was with respect to statute that says if you trying to get amended right now at the legislature for the 25% forfeiture. Okay. As you guys may know or may not know, we've been doing fraudulent stuff for many years.
The statute as it reads now says you go through the whole process, you get approved as a bidder, you get your tax deed approved by the judge. You then have 150 days to file that tax deed with us, the tax sale department. So the deed, you pay the taxes that are due on the property. We put the 150 days in. That was a legislative change years ago because they would get their order issue tax deed and they would do anything. They would show up at people's house and say, look, I own your house. Start paying me rent. Doesn't catch up for a year or two for rent because they don't put it in their name. The tax sale buyer doesn't put it in their name. So we thought we shored that up, saying, okay, you have to show up within 150 days to get your deed. If you don't, then get your deed. So now the loophole in the statute that kind of changes. What if they don't? What if they don't show up to it in 50 days? How it reads out, there's nothing that says what's the penalty. Okay, the penalty for other improper actions in the tax sale is a 25%. But I'm going to pay. So that's what we're trying to establish here. And the reason it's not brought up as the circuit court judge, I'm there every week for tax sale and tax deed litigation cases, as well as judges basically saying, look, why? Because nothing in the statute tells me what can I do. If somebody shows up and says, I missed the 150-day deadline, what happens? It doesn't say you lose a percentage of your bid. It doesn't say you don't get the deed. It doesn't say anything. So what's happened now is that the judge here and judges across the state have said, well, we're just going to start over. Well, I think it's going into, again, more fraudulent stuff. Some of them are just by accident. I didn't know I had to be here today. So I thought that's it and I would go over. It's an accident. Some of it is nefarious. And so that's what we're trying to stop and change the statute to say, well, if that's what happens, you're going to lose your bid. That's 25%. And that was the main change.
Do you think there'd be any home rule issue with that, Randy, that do we have the authority to impose a penalty that the state hasn't imposed?
I think so. The state statute about the 25% is already in the statute for other issues. Yeah.
Other issues.
And that's why, no, I think the home rule is to our benefit because if there's nothing in the statute that says doesn't address this situation, Lake County can address that situation.
But also a fee should substantiate what the cost is.
That's what makes me nervous is because if you guys want to make a copy and charge $40 for it, the state says, hey, you can't do that. There's got to be an association between the cost we actually incurred and what we actually charge.
Right. Well, I'm not sure what you're saying. We're talking about that.
It's almost like it's a penalty,
yeah,
which is okay.
It is a penalty.
Yeah.
This is a penalty that if you hold your court order more than 150 days, you're not going to get your deed, and the court is going to order that you don't get your bid back. You get your bid minus 25% for commissioner sales.
So you lose out.
Well,
Or I'm not.
that's what you lose 25%. You get 75%. You get 75%
You
back.
get your deed.
And that in the statute now, that is for situations right now, that 25% penalty is if you just don't, you register and you're the bidder, but you don't do the notices right. You don't send the notices to the homeowner or anybody that's supposed to get notices. You don't do that right. Or there's a statute that says, well, if you fail to do the proper noticing, you lose your bid by 25%. We're just basically doing that same penalty under this new situation, which I think is actually more nefarious stuff going on.
And I think what we were asking is, we're fine with you saying 25%. What we're asking is why 25%? Why not 22.5%? Or why not 20%? So if we could have that answer, and I think that's what we're leading to, is we have to be able to justify why are these fees there.
Yeah.
And if we can get $10 a copy for a report, and we do a feasibility study, the feasibility study agrees with us, then we implement it as $10 a copy. And I think that's what we're kind of looking for.
I guess this is more.
Why not wait until the statutes, till you get the legislator to actually adopt that?
That's a possibility. I mean, and again, we won't have another registration until the spring. We won't have a new statute until July. And so, that's kind of the basis. And the commissioner's sale in the spring is the one where the real.
I guess if we're analyzing it as opposed to that we're rendering a service, that we have to justify the feasibility of it. Kind of saying, hey, this is a penalty, just like if somebody got a speeding ticket, we can impose a penalty.
Yes.
Without it costing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that, this isn't we're charging $50 to do an inspection or something. We have to say, you have to substantiate why we get an inspection. That's not this. This is, this is a penalty, and it makes me just, and the reason we said 25%, Mr. Bilski, is that that's what the other statute says, that they get charged 25% when they screw it up here. You screw it up on this other end, you're also gonna get.
I know it's been a mess, and then there's that bid on it, and they don't follow through with all the rules, and then other folks have legitimately want to purchase it, can't, and it delays that process, and in the meantime, the other taxpayer that you get back on the tax revenue, needs to get that back suffer, so I get it. I'm okay.
Very good.
Any other questions?
Thank you for how you began looking. It was kind of hanky-panky centered around potential convention center. Whereas however was an issue, we people from buy up property, shift some property. So
Well, to be honest. So talk about registration, we don't do those anymore. We stopped doing them in person, we got the lines out the door.
Oh, I thought I
I think
wanted
it'd
to say you had to do them in person.
I think the online, has helped as far as, staff and other staff and things like that. And, safety issues, and when people show up and they get rejected, there's, they do it online, I don't think they check as much. But that was the other reason why some of the changes were made, is to change all the online things, and these payments are now all made by wire payment.
Randy,
I think about the fraud stuff, I want to touch base like on that. It's, the online is now caused, in my opinion, every case, but it's more fraud. Because the person that's ineligible to bid is standing over a computer with the guy that is eligible to bid, and he's putting his name in. And so that's what happened. And I'm sure that's happened. What's going on? I'm in the middle of a litigation now with buyer. Nuisance. That litigation went all the way to the Angel Court 4 years ago, which basically proved they would be fraudulent buyers. They didn't have the money to buy. They were having other people, third-party people, pay for all their bids to the floor. Here we are 4 years later. They've done it again. And so when they now are eligible bidders, they registered and they were eligible bidders. When we found out, let's show us how you paid for that. Again, we found out that it's checks from other third parties that weren't registered with that. So it's the same issue, and we're in the middle of a new litigation now against the court on that same issue. So I think the online thing is good for convenience. I don't think it's good. And that's what we're doing.
Randy, late in the day yesterday, I got an email from you that said paragraph 15 had changed.
Yes.
Can you highlight what?
The only thing to change, because that paragraph 15 is the language that has to be in all court orders. Okay. And so what I did was in paragraph 14, which is the change we want to make to the statute, it talks about the 25% penalty in the treasurer sales, where penalties are for those two situations. And so what I did years ago was I put all the statutory language and ordinance language in the court orders. So when they come and they say, well, I didn't know about the 150-day deadline. Well, yeah, you did. It's in the court. So we changed the statute to paragraph 15 to include what those new penalties are going to be. So again, they can't come to court and say, I didn't know about the 150-day deadline. And again, I didn't know about the penalty either. Well, yeah, you do. It's going to be in every court order. So that's what's the change to paragraph.
It says, the part where it says the petitioner shall file this order within 150 days.
Yes.
Okay, so the clarity has to be in that order too.
Right. So we just added the same clarity of what the penalty is for paragraph 14 into what each court order is going to say the same thing.
Okay.
What your penalty is.
So that's not in the draft. I don't know if you guys right now, but we will have it in there, right?
Oh, the penalty part.
Yeah.
Right, and that's just so that it's in every court order that the circuit court signs when they sign 1,000 orders. The buyer can't then come back and say, I didn't know about the deadline. I didn't know there was a penalty if I didn't meet the deadline. So it's all transparent, so they understand it's.
Yeah, I was going to ask, but do they receive that? How are they notified about the 150 days? So
Yeah.
this will.
This is, and that 150-day deadline has been in the court orders for years. The only thing that's changing is we're changing the, hey, if you don't meet the deadline, there's this new penalty. So the 150-day deadline has been in the statute for somebody, it's been in every court order.
Madam President, I
Yes.
think you asked two important questions. You asked, about a statute that you have to have it, available for person coming in person.
Yeah, I was understanding our ordinance did state that there, because I remember that was a big issue.
That's a change. That's a change in this one. If it's the first paragraph of the ordinance,
It's
it used to say all bidders
So
must
really
register.
change that.
It used to say all bidders must register in person. But since COVID, we haven't done any. So
You wanna
we're changing the statute that it's.
Just
and-
online.
And that's all it is right now. We don't accept in-person registrations.
Well, you should be, in my opinion, because not everybody has access to computers.
I won't get paid.
Can they come into the auditor's office and use a computer to apply?
There's a computer.
I don't think it's only available online, but I mean, I thought it was.
No, that's what he's saying, that they won't be able to go in the auditor's office and register.
If there's a computer in there, in the foyer that they use, I have no idea.
Because if we're saying that the majority of fraud is done on the computer, well, I was shipping everything to the computer. And we're not correcting the problem there, as Madam President said. If there's a problem where you're seeing and we're letting people just continue to go forward, and we reject them back again, I think we could stop a lot of this if we implement some, stop programs inside the system there. So we won't be at this point here.
Like I said, there used to be in-person registrations, and we required that because we wanted the actual person that was bidding to show up and show us your ID.
Right.
Okay, and that was again to try and alleviate some of the fraud stuff. You know, you're the actual person here, we're seeing your face, we're seeing your driver's license, we're taking copies, so we know that's the case.
Why not go back to in-person?
Issue that, you know, the auditor of the counties decided was easier, and I think the vendor switched to online. We've had, since we've been online since 2020, in 4 years, I've had one person complain and said, hey, well, number one, he said, I got rejected. I said, okay, and he said, yeah, but it says I can register in person in the ordinance. It does right now. And I said, that's true. I said, so come on in and we'll look at your stuff. Still rejected. It's rejected because he owes taxes or whatever, but it didn't matter. So I said, okay, you're right. You can register in person. Come on down. But again, in 4 years, one person out of 9,000, 10,000 registers. I didn't see it as a problem. And I think the staff prefers the online because it's much faster. They can wait and do once the registrations are all done online, they can do them as they come. When you do a registration process, again, with in person, we set aside weeks and weeks to get that done because it takes so much time. Online is much faster. I think that was one of the reasons it's supposed to be easy.
Who's doing the rejection, SRI or the auditor staff reviewing the registrations?
If it's rejected, no, the auditor's tax sale department does the rejections. SRI simply runs the website, and county auditor doesn't have the ability to change the software, change the website. That would be a vendor issue. As far as what you're saying about, hey, if you don't fill it out right, or you miss something, that it will be rejected. I will say that the rejections that I've seen for those issues aren't that. It's that they don't download their ID card. They don't sign the contract. It's not, I mean, that's the issue. But certainly we can look into software wise, there's some way to stop it from being submitted, like a check, make sure they've got it done.
I was just gonna say, there's a policy issue here that you guys are talking about.
Right.
It's different.
I mean, that's what I was kind of getting at. And that's what I was gonna say is that I support convenience, so it should be available, it should be available. I think both companies said, and you have to have it available to be done in-house as well as online. I don't think I can support just all of the pigs in one basket. It's gotta be done online, and that's the only way we're gonna do it. I think you have folks out there that don't have access, and we have a bus that runs up and down the road. Some folks that are struggling, but now we've just limited their opportunity, which granted, you could argue with me and say, well, if they're struggling that bad, I don't know. Well, you know what, some of these tax sales are intended not for flippers and people that are wanting to be landlords, but for people that can't afford homes and need to get there and bid on a house to get in them. And we need to make it available for that people, not so that these folks can become multimillionaires being, I'm gonna call it landlords, but there's other vernacular I could choose to use that I'm not going to. But that's my position on it.
A lot of it's speculators, and Randy, and I got help from Mr. Weezer 4 years ago, I just shut. In September of 20. This has been a problem that's been going on for a long time, right? And however we get.
I agree. I mean, I've got no problem with changing it to the grant must register online and or in person. I think the majority of people are gonna do it online. 85%, if not more.
I think that would rectify the concern.
Okay. So we can make that change. We can make that change to paragraph 1 that says, because the point of that was, must register to be a bidder. I mean, Lake County is one of the only counties in the state that makes people register to be a bidder. They just show up and bid. But I thought that was a policy issue from this body that said you wanted to go to the online change it. So no, the auditor would have no problem with online or in-person registration.
Should be, yeah, it's implemented by.
Any other, changes?
No.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
We don't have the change in.
We can change it or they're, well, yeah.
Do you think it should be there on Tuesday? You want Randy here on Tuesday again? Was it in the morning or in the afternoon? 10 o'clock.
10 a.m.
But we'll internally make, because we've already retyped this. So make those 2 changes. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say that per day, it's not eating that like. Why can't they have an all donut diet?
Oh, that's his.
You know, we got keto or whatever. You're on the.
All right, next is the council ordinance, Councilman Hannah, that's a change in the part-time ordinance for one position we have.
Any concerns?
What's number 2? I don't.
Number 2, I was gonna ask for Larry, or Scott, either one.
2.
2 and 3.
Yeah, they're for the insurance.
Oh, okay, that's cost centers.
Employer portion, for workers' comp and health insurance. And if we don't, it's come, now out of the payrolls.
As you described on the phone, this is simply our end of it, not the employees.
Yeah.
Yes, it's set that up.
$10.
25 budgets.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
Okay. And then we will have the, South Shore Convention and Business Authority budget. First and second reading. I think that's been sent to everybody, right? Everybody received that?
They call it a resolution, if you guys, that's what you have to look at, is they call it a resolution.
This thing review.
And review and
It's a binding, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't fund it.
No, we don't fund it, but no taxes do.
Right.
Innkeeper's tax and casino dollars. All right, and any questions on that? I'm sure Mr. Talon will be here.
I'll make sure that.
Do we have any budget history since this is the first time? I'd love to make a comparison.
Well, we have reports that they have submitted.
Yeah, I can email them and ask to see if they can either provide budget history or even.
I just want to kind of see the roadmap of where we're going, where we've been and where we're going.
You want last year's compared to this year, or you want to go back
Last
a
couple of years would be fine, yeah.
Yes, but you could maybe submit that for Tuesday. Okay, and then we have an appointment, citizens, excuse me, citizens appointment. I don't know if we received a letter.
We did according to the person that sent it for reappointment.
And that is.
Gotta be it's gotta be out of him, and then I have Mr. Ennis, who is seeking reappointment.
All right, anything else? Thank you, everybody. Tuesday.